So, guys, let's continue with the next part. So today, guys, again, there's some small more topics about the Ansible we are going to discuss. Okay. So one of the topic, what exactly we are going to discuss about the Ansible, it's very important because if you guys till now, if you notice about the Ansible is maybe Ansible is a automation tool, and obviously, guys, because Ansible is automation tool, but Ansible don't, because Ansible is automation tool, and if you want to automate something, right, you have to write the code. And if you have to write the code, you have to use the respective syntax or the keywords, or maybe you have to use some language, right? I can say, for example, Python is a language, or Scala is a language, or C or Java is a language. But technically, Ansible is an automation tool, and Ansible, by chance, don't have their own personal language. Okay, and one of the reason why Ansible don't have their personal language, because Ansible say I am not an imperative language. Okay, I am the declarative language. Means I have to declare the thing. And guys, you know what? Whenever you go for the declarative language, the way we declare is something like this: I want this software to be installed. Okay, so software name is stdpd, and I want my software to be installed or present, something like this. So technically we're declaring. Okay, and for declaring we are just giving the some name, and we are giving some kind of values, something like this. But how, but who is running this code, and who is reading this code, and who is going to govern and run this code? Ansible. Ansible say I will go inside this code. It technically it is code, but it's not look like code. It is just like a declaration, like a variable, or the value, or the key, or the value is called key value. Or because you have to declare and you use some key value pair. So for the key value pair, I will use some format, and very commonly used format today is YAML. You guys know till here. Okay, but Ansible say how I come to know for you HTTP is a name, and install present is a is a state, or you want to do something here. So Ansible say maybe I'm using YAML as a language. Okay, but YAML don't have their own personal keywords. Like for example, in Python we have a keyword called print, right? Or like in maybe C we have a keyword or function called printf. So Ansible say I use this language, right, or use their format, but I have my own personal keywords or keys, and by looking at this key I come to know what exactly you wanted, and what exactly you have declared. So these are the pre-created key in the Ansible. So Ansible is not a language, but they have their own pre-created key that we, and this key they will get from the code of the Viable language. Okay, and that might be the reason we can use one term here because Ansible is not language, but they are using writing their key on the top of other language. So maybe we can use a word called framework here. So Ansible is one of the framework. Okay, and what exactly, because Ansible, in the Ansible we have to write the code with the help of YAML. You guys know this code is playbook. But technically they are the declarative language, but finally it is code. And because it is a code, so normally whatever we do in the programming world or imperative language world, for example, C, Java, Python, something like this. Especially one of the good example of imperative language is self-scripting, or maybe Perl or Python or Ruby. Okay, because these language we also use for writing the scripts, or for the automations, or for the configuration, right? So but Ansible is not, they have their own language, but we have to write the code in the Ansible, or because we have to write the code in the Ansible. So we have to follow and we have to provide, or I can say Ansible has to provide certain clauses that normally we have in the language, like for loop, or like if or else, right? Here if we can do with the van or variables. Okay, similarly, very common requirement in the language, and that very commonly used. Okay, and if you use that concept in the programming language, it look like you are very much uh, very good in managing the code, I can say. Not technical, but you are good in managing your code. And that concept in the programming language, that Ansible, if Ansible also support, the code can be very easily managed in the terms of run, or in the terms of some kind of error. Okay, so that concept is called exception handling. Exception handling. And guys, this is the main topic for today. So exception handling is a normally concept you can see in like Java, or maybe Python, something like this. But even the Ansible is a framework, but Ansible provide you some extra keywords. For example, one of the keyword that Ansible provide you that YAML don't have, a keyword called host keyword that we always use, task keyword that we always used. So Ansible say YAML, you just type this keyword. Maybe as a YAML you don't know what is the meaning of the task. But when you run your YAML using my Ansible playbook command, or using my Ansible, I can say the word called, maybe I can use the word here called interpreter. My interpreter know what actually meaning of this keyword, what actually meaning of this keyword, what actually meaning of these keywords. So I will, I come to know what exactly you declare, and accordingly I will perform those tasks for you. Okay, but finally you have to write the code. Because you have to write the code, and your code might have multiple and possibility your code might have multiple errors or exceptions. So as a good programmer, the guy who write the Ansible code or a playbook, they have to also manage your error or the exception. So guys, today's topic is about how you can maintain the, or how you can handle the error, or I can say the exception. And by chance those who don't know the meaning of exception, very quickly let me explain you. Like very quickly let me explain you. Then we start writing how we can do the exception handling in the Ansible. Okay, so it is something like this. For example, if you write a code in the Ansible and say I have one task called package, and in the package I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a name of the software is called HTTPD. And I want your state of this software to be present. Very simple code, very quick, very normally we use this code, we only use this code multiple times. So you are a very confident Ansible code developer, you write this smaller code and run the playbook. Okay, so technically what you did, you write this YAML code, and using the YAML code you declare what exactly you want. And when Ansible run this code, so Ansible has the own, so technically you have given the Ansible internal keywords. So package is one of the keyword of the Ansible. Here by chance it is known as module. These are keyword of the Ansible. By chance it is known as attributes of this module, but these are the Ansible internal keywords. But you know what, Ansible, when run this keyword, Ansible say, I am a framework, or let's say I am a language. I know my keyword, I know my language. So I know what is package, I know what is the meaning of a state, but I don't know what is NANE. I don't know, have you noticed or not? I intentionally did this mistake here. Technically, you guys know it is known as NAME, name. Name is actual keyword or the property or the task name or the Ansible keyword, I can say. Okay, but Ansible say, I don't know what is NANE. Okay, in my dictionary, in my vocabulary, in my understanding, my language, I don't understand this. And you know, guys, you know what? Think Ansible as a language, right? Or in the language world, right? Every language has a fixed pre-created vocabulary. For example, right now I'm using English here. So English has a limited vocabulary, some limited words they have, maybe 1,000, 10,000, whatever numbers they have. Okay, but if I use apart from that word, for example, maybe here a lot of guys maybe not from India, or they might don't know the language called Hindi. Okay, so they have their own native languages. But if I say something here in Hindi, okay, and technically whatever I'm going to say here, I am grammatically right, and my keyword is absolute right according to Hindi language. Okay, so what I'm going to say here. आप लोग सब कैसे हैं? So आप लोग सब कैसे हैं? I don't know. Those who know Hindi, I think 90% crowd are from India, but 10% crowd maybe here might don't know Hindi. So for them it is like a Greek, right? For them it means they won't understand what I'm talking about, so they don't understand that particular vocabulary here. So what's come in their mind, their language is not Hindi. So what come in the mind, I don't know what exactly you're talking about, I don't know what you want from us, right? So we don't know. For us, aap kaise hain is a exception. In our language we don't have this vocabulary. For us it is exception, we don't know what you're talking about. Similar guys happen with Ansible or maybe C or Java. So whatever come in their vocabulary, they understand this, they understand package, they understand state. But in their vocabulary, this term never come up. Maybe for human being, or maybe I know Hindi or English, I might know this term. Might have some meaning of this term, but Ansible, Ansible the keyword or Ansible language doesn't has the meaning of this term. So Ansible say I don't understand, and for me it is exception. And whenever I don't understand anything, and you ask me to do something, okay, I will run this code, but finally some error come up. And normally in the Ansible, I told you in my last class. So when in last class also, whenever any error come in Ansible code, normally they terminate the entire code. It's a good thing if they terminate the entire code. Maybe this task is so critical for us, so I don't want after this, if this task doesn't work, I don't want to run the next task. So this is a by default nature of the Ansible. They terminate the entire code. Okay, but but if you want, but if you want from the Ansible, okay, run this code, run this task, okay, or I can say try this task. If you think you understand this task, there might be no spelling mistake, there might be not some value mistake, there might be not something, might be have some mistake here. Just try this task. Okay, if you think it's working good, that's okay. But if you find some of the task, some of the key, some of the value, it is not understood by you, and for you it is some exception. You never seen this kind of value or the variable name. So don't please terminate my code. Okay, I'm giving you one more try, and I want just try other thing. I want you try other things, and the other thing is I'm giving you one more code here. Okay, so let's say this is the one code I asked to try. Is work, that's good. If not work and some exception come up, okay, so don't terminate my code. So what I want, if this part doesn't work, then only then I want try this task. Okay, and if this task run, that's okay. Otherwise you whatever you do normally do it. So it is something like this, if or else, something like this, right? It's called if, try this. If and it doesn't work, then try this. Okay, so if you want to achieve this kind of thing, okay, so finally what you are actually achieving here, you are trying to achieve if any exception come up, how Ansible gonna handle this. And for this guys, the concept name is called exception handling. Sometimes also known as error handling, but normally the right term for exception, because when exception come up, then only error come up. So error is this thing we don't understand. But when the error come up, when somebody not understand something, it's called exception. So look like very close term, but they have a little bit different meaning. So today's main topic, guys, is exception handling. Okay, and normally, guys, if you work in any programming language, maybe JavaScript or maybe other language. So for exception handling, obviously we never use if or else. If or else we use for conditions. Okay, maybe if you guys might write the wrong spelling, fi, or maybe you write IIF, or maybe you write LF. So this is also exception. Okay, so if doesn't help you guys to handle the exception. If you write the spelling mistake, if also this also one kind of exception your language say. So that is the reason, guys, your languages has created a different keyword to manage the exception. So normally in the programming world, right, normally if you think this is your main code and you want your language interpreter or compiler or maybe here Ansible framework will try this code. So for this, they have a keyword called try. Okay, and this code doesn't work. The code doesn't work. Then this they use the keyword called catch. Okay, in most of the language, try and catch is a keyword or the block we use. Try this code. If some error come up, only then, right, catch the error, or means I can say else run this code. In most of the language we use this command. Anybody who by chance know Python, so in the Python, um, we use again try keyword, but by chance instead of the catch, we use a keyword called accept. By chance who know Python. But right now we are not in JavaScript language or Python. Okay, here we are in the Ansible language or Ansible framework. So Ansible framework, guys, is given you a different keyword. Logic wise, they are exactly same, exactly same. But in the Ansible, instead of the try, we have a keyword called block. Or instead of catch or accept, we have a keyword called rescue. So again, they try to make this keyword name very clear. They say, and Civil, this is the block of code you have to try. Everything work good, that's nice. But if some kind of issue come up, don't terminate my code. Do you have somebody who rescue me? Ask them to run this code rather than terminate my code and crash my code. Because it is good. It is a good programming practice, right? It is good programming practice. If you write a code or write an app or write a playbook for something, the good programmer are the one their app never crash. So if you get some app from the Google Play or a store, Apple Store, if you download the app and you're doing something on the app and your suddenly app crash, so nobody guys like the app crash. Maybe some feature might don't work, that's okay, but we don't like app goes crash. But if that app is created by some other great good developer, they always write multiple exception handling. They say if this error come up, do this. If this error come, do this. Don't terminate. That's the worst thing we always do, or bad thing in the programming practice. Okay, so same thing guys in the Ansible also. Always properly planned. If you think this part might crash, for example, maybe in the code we'll see some kind of code like this. Maybe in the code you're downloading some image from the net. Ansible playbook will download, or you're downloading some code from the GitHub, or maybe that point in time GitHub is you don't have a connectivity with the internet. So that particular task will crash. Might not work. So instead you terminate, it will terminate your entire playbook. Right? We give the one rescue and say if this code is not downloaded from the GitHub or from internet or image, just try to use this image or try to use this file. So guys, it is always a great practice. But the challenge is my there's a lot of tasks we have to write in the playbook. Okay, so it take a lot of time actually. And a lot of practice and a lot of testing also we have to try, because we don't know at what point in time and which perspective my my particular playbook here might crash. So as you practice more and more of programming, or more and more of the Ansible playbook here, you'll be comfortable when to use exception handling and where to use exception handling. But how to use exception handling, there's a today's topic. Okay, so for the exception handling, we use a block keyword and we use a rescue. So guys, there's a very quick uh, definition of or logic of exception handling. So most of you guys might know, but by chance I discussed this point. For those who don't know what is exception handling, okay, so technically in the playbook you don't write the exception handling, that would be your choice. But as a good programming practice, as a good developer or the programmer or the automation engineers, it is always good to have exception handling. Okay, so let's guys directly go to some demos here. So today's my My target node is 155. Okay, and I think I have an 155 already as a. Let me directly check my inventory file. Okay, 150 I have, and let me create new workspace. Sorry, and here I'm going to create a YML file, means Ansible code, and I would look to run on IP address 155. The task is pretty simple task that we always run. Let's say I'm going to write a task called debug. And debug, I would like to ask print some message. Let's say this for test dot dot dot. Okay. uh, Nothing special, you guys know output will definitely come up. Okay, very quickly let me check. We know the output, but I always recommend, maybe you guys might be the great developer, but when you start the code, always test the code. So just have a proper checking connectivity and maybe initial syntax that give you normally confidence till here thing is working great. I always do. Okay, but there might be possibility. Let's say this is the one of the code you have. Let me write one more code here. Let me write one more task here. The task is called package task. Okay, and name httpd, the always we use, and state is present. Okay, so two tasks we have run, and we know it very clear. This task guys always run, but guys it is very common because as a human, very commonly this will come. As a human guys, when we write the code, there would be chances to have a human typing error or typo error. So maybe there might be some typo error come up, or maybe instead of name we might type and it look like very similar, even though color also won't change. Normally we take the help of colors to find out if some kind of error come up. So it is not also visible sometime also. But if I run this code, you'll see what happened. So you can see this kind of red color error come up, and why this error come up? Because Ansible say, Ansible say you use something here that I don't able to understand. Right? So for me, it is exception. When exception come up, error come up, and when error come up, entire code I terminate. Okay, so when this task doesn't work, I will also or also won't allow to run further task also. That's what I do. Okay, and to handle this exception, to handle this exception, I have already given you one keyword in my last class that is called ignore error. Ignore errors equals to yes. So this keyword guys I have already given to you. Okay, so by chance in this task, if any error come up, please ignore, don't terminate my code and go to the next task. So this keyword guys I already given to you in my last class. So guys, by chance to handling the exception in the Ansible, ignore error, they ignore when some error come up, exception come up, and go to the next task. Is one of the keyword that normally we use. So ignore error is one of the uh, way to handle the exception. Okay, that's nice, we can use, and very frequently we use. But guys, sometime it's not always a good practice to ignore the error. For example, there might be one task, one task where we are downloading something from the URL, downloading something for URL. Okay, and that point in time, okay, maybe some kind of internet URL we have, internet URL we have. So initially, when while writing the code, or writing the code, that time I had an internet connection, but somewhere we are running this code that system won't have an internet connectivity. That point in time, this particular task, this is not the actual task, but this particular, let's say this example, this task will fail, and they will crash my entire code or entire playbook. Okay, so for us guys, when while writing the code, we believe we believe that this task always run, always run. Okay, but maybe in some deployment somewhere this might fail because of the internet connectivity. So maybe guys, that point in time, there's no required to run the ignore error because while testing this code, it always run. And by logically, there's no technical error we see. So we say there's no requirement to write ignore error, and we don't write ignore error. And but when we run this code in my further other system, they might fail. And second reason, guys, over here is if you use ignore error always, it is not a good practice. Because ignore error is a good thing, but the one challenge in the ignore error is ignore error is right. Whenever you run the task and task has some error, they skip the task. Okay, they skip the task. But in this example, guys, they skip the task is not good thing. Here, skip means don't run this task, and don't run means okay, don't install this package. It means we skip the entire task for the package. Okay, and if you don't install the package, maybe in my future, maybe in my future there might be some tasks that might be depend on this task. So maybe by chance you skip this task, there's okay, your code won't terminate, but maybe there might be some other task that say without installing the software or without having the file or without having this folder, whatever you write here, or without you download, I won't work. So ignore error is good, but is not always good. So I want somebody when I'm running the task, if some error come up or exception come up, they at least see that this here we have the error. And if we have this error, it means this task won't able to run. Because with this task won't able to run. So let's give a second alternative. Let's try this one. For example, we ask this guy, can you please run this task? And maybe that point in time internet connection was not there. So instead we ignore. Obviously it will help me not to terminate my program or not to crash my program. That's good, but it is not helpful for me. So instead I say, if this task doesn't run, first of all, I don't want my program to be crashed or terminate. Okay. Second, I want a second alternative. If this URL don't work, so I have some local file, just get the image from there or get that document from there and use that for point in time for some time. So if this is a requirement, then we have to go for exception handling, or I can say we have to go for a concept called try or catch, or concept called block or rescue. So here I can say block, run this code, and maybe here my URL doesn't work. Doesn't work. So do one thing, nothing, nothing. I'm giving you a second alternative by just called rescue, and try to use this for this point in time. Till the time you run the next code again, and maybe the time your URL code might work. Okay, something like this. Let's try to build, by chance this example just come in my mind, URL. So let guys try to build this example here. So what I'm doing here, to build this example, what I'm doing here, let me do one thing. So 129, I'm using putty to connect to my local system. So I can very easily copy paste from my Windows to Linux. Okay, 1 minute. So 129 connect. So this is guys my Ansible control node. I'm running, writing some code here in my some particular folder. This is the code. Let me increase the font of this guy. And what I'm doing, guys, I'm going to first give you a new module name. Okay, that will download something from the internet. Okay, so if you go to Ansible doc and search for module called URI. Okay, so in the Ansible we have some module that's called URI. This module will help you to to download some images or some document from the internet using the Ansible code. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm just going to URI to see the document, or maybe let me very quickly use Ansible URI module. Okay. So very much useful module we might use also some way in the future classes. But in this URI module, if you go to directly to the code, so here they tell you here they tell you, okay, URI just give some URL name, a URL name, and they will do something for you. Lots of things, guys, we can do with the URI module. Or let me use one more module that might be a little bit simpler right here in this example. That's called get URL. So get URL. So download files from somewhere. So let me use right now URL. I'll take some other example in the future classes. So get URL, guys, is the one of the module. What it will do, it will do the same way. For example, if you have some images document from internet, how you download? You just open the URL and you do Control S, and maybe if your PDF just double click, it will download for you. Same thing Ansible get URL will do for you. So by chance, guys, I have one image. I don't know somewhere in some I put. Yeah, this is one of my image over here. Okay. And what I'm doing here, this is the URL of this image. So right click, new tab. Okay. Okay, so this is, guys, one of the URL. Okay. In the internet where I have one of my PDF or image or video. And guys, if you want to download, just click and Control S, it will download for you. That you know. Okay, but I want Ansible to download for me. So here I can use a get URL. Okay, so I'll write a code, EDROML, and I say there's a task called get underscore URL. Okay, and in this task, okay, if you directly go to some of the examples over here, there's a one URL where something we have. There's a one URL, and by chance my URL is this one, or maybe you can use other URL, whatever you have some data. And in this URL, I whatever I have, image or anything, I would like to download where in the destination. Okay, and let's say my plan is something like this. So in the IP 155, I would like to install HTTPD as a software. One minute. Okay, and after HTTPD software installed, then you guys know HTTP will create a folder called var.html. So in this var.html folder, I will have to copy this image. So this image I will download and I'll copy over here. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? So till then, guys, we keep on using copy module. Copy module will download image from or file from control node to manage node. But this time, I'm asking my manage node, right? Go to this URL, download this PDF image, and copy in your system here. But I'm asking this guy. But and again, guys, the condition is because this URL is the internet URL. If you don't have the internet, then what will happen? That's the important point, right? Let's see. And finally, we'll start our services if you want right now here. So name HTTPD and state, let's say, is what started. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 tasks we have, and that we have to run here. Okay. So guys, let me run this. So finally, I'm in the controller node, and I'm going to run this playbook that are going to run at IP 155. Let's see what happens. By chance, we are lucky that IP 155 has interconnectivity. That is the reason they are able to run this get URL and re-download. And how I know they downloaded? If I go to IP 155, And if I go to this particular folder, and if you run ls, you can see this file is downloaded. Okay, so working great. But right now, by chance we are lucky, guys, IP155 has internet connectivity. Okay, but maybe there might be possibility if you run the same code in some of the computer, or maybe they're running in the groups of computer. One of the group of computer that point in time might don't have the internet connectivity. So that point in time, my playbook terminate. So maybe 100 host, second host they don't have the internet connectivity, they will fail. But all the 98 hosts, guys, all the 98 hosts might have the internet connectivity, but still my code terminate because of this exception. But understand, guys, one more thing, just one more thing I just want to tell you here is very important to know. Okay, whenever you are running this kind of module, and this module, guys, is created by some developer, it also depend what kind of code the developer write in this module. Very important to know. There might be possibility the developer say, for example, in the package, there's a say if you use NANE. So if the developer say if you use this kind of property, so if I don't understand this property, I will skip myself. I don't read this, I don't do anything here, and I will do the other things. There might be possibility. Okay. And how we know? Obviously, we don't know. You need to see the code of the package model, or maybe developer of this guy has written somewhere in that document. So in that case, this package module never fail. And they never fail. According to Ansible, there is no exception come up. Though there is no error come up, and there is no error we have to handle, or exception we have to handle. Okay, this might be possibility. Most of the guys, it won't happen in this way. They, if they say I don't understand, so we give you the exception. But there might be possibility. Okay, they by themselves skip that part. Don't, they can't handle because they don't know what we are talking about. But they directly skip it. All right, same here. Maybe the developer of the get URL say, if by chance when you run this, you give me some URL, this URL may be of some network internet connectivity, but maybe at that point in time, if internet was not there, was not there, so I don't give you any error exception. I will skip and I'll go to next. Okay, I might not do anything for you. So this is, guys, not in our control, because this code or keyword or this package is not written by us. How we know? It comes with practice. I mean, simple term I can say, we keep on trying, and we can observe how they are behaving. Normally in the document of the Ansible, these small granular thing they never write normally. Okay, so let's see here. So what I'm doing here, I'm again going to i5155. Manually I'm removing this file again. Vimel.jpg. I don't have this file because I want to run my code again, playbook. And by chance, if I see here in this computer, I have an internet connectivity. Okay, I can say ping the Google DNS. But if you want to disable the internet for a while without having local connectivity, because technically what we want, I don't want to lose a connectivity from my managed node to the control node. I want this guy connect so I can run my playbook for test. So if you want to do have local connectivity, but if you want to disable or stop the internet connectivity, so if my managed node don't have an internet connectivity, sorry, if they don't have the internet connectivity, they don't want to go there, and if they're not able to reach the internet, then let's see what happens. So in this computer IP155, if you want to stop the internet connectivity for a while, a lot of way we can have, but this is the one of the simplest way we have here. What I did, I just delete my default gateway. And without the gateway, or without the knowledge of the router, you won't able to go to internet. So technically, if you try to ping Facebook or Google, anything, it won't work. Okay. So right now, by chance, in this, I just simulate my environment here. Means I just, what am I, guys? Maybe a lot of guys might know this command, but I'm just sharing this command to those who don't know this command. 1 minute, please. So by chance in IP155, we have local connectivity. So my control node can connect to this IP155. That is my managed node. Why? Because without having connectivity, how we can run the playbook? But we don't have internet connectivity. That's what I want. And today is 15th. Okay. So now what happened? Okay, so they have a connectivity from my control node. How can I say? How can I see? This is my control node, and from here, if I try to ping to IP155, I can see. So local connectivity we have. We don't have a connectivity from the internet from IP155. Now, if I again run my playbook, let's see what happens. Before, guys, I will run this playbook from my this wide skin. This wide skin is my controller node. Okay, what happened? They ask this IP 155, go to internet, download, and and copy here. But guys, just want to tell you one more small thing. There might be possibility because there's lots of resources available or module available in the Ansible, something like this. They will go to internet like GitHub and this URL and other URI to do download something. There might be possibility. Again, it is designed by the Ansible developer. There might be possibility. Right now, in my case, this is the managed node, and I'm running this code, guys, in my control node. There might be possibility. Okay, this download is done by control node behind the scene, and this file first download in the control node, and control node we upload the file in the managed node. There might be possibility. How I know? Obviously, I don't know. Again, come with practice on some kind of Intel packet research you can do to find out this thing, or maybe this practical will gonna help you. Okay, so what I'm going to do? So, so when I run this, if this work and file downloaded, it means they are first downloaded in the control node. And by chance, my control node has internet connectivity. But that's nice. The field error come up. Okay, and guys, error was very clear. Okay, error say from IP155, we are trying to go to this URL, but this message come up. A message say fail. Why they fail? Because we don't have a network connectivity. That's what the error was. We have tried manually also. So it proved that actually they are not first downloading in my control node, the uploading. It means 155. It means my my managed node is directly downloading this file and copying here in their folder only. That's one small proof we have done here. But the more important thing here is, right, they say get URL developer say if something doesn't work, okay, just throw the error, throw the exception. When exception throws, some error come up and it will terminate my code. Okay. So how to handle this? One of the simplest way to handle this challenge is one of the simplest way to handle is we can write here and say ignore error. Simplest way. That's where I've seen a lot of guys has it done. Actually, they're doing. Okay. Now if I run the ignore error, ignore errors here. Now what do you see? Your task will skip, and after the skip, they go to next task and next task will run. Okay. But you know what happened? They skip. My program never is not crashed. Okay, but this is one of the important thing for us. This is the one who post some images or post some databases or doing something important for us. So I don't want to skip actually. Okay, I want at least if this is not working, so I want my program will give me a alternative. So guys, this is the great example to understand where not to use ignore error. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so this is a good example to tell you where not to use ignore error. Okay, otherwise using the ignore error is simplest thing to handle the exception. So I don't want to use the ignore error. Instead, I'll tell my exception handling just run this entire code, try it. And for this, guys, in the Python we have a try keyword, but but in the uh, what I say, in the Ansible, we have a keyword called blocks keyword. That's all. Blocks keyword. Okay. And by some guys, block keyword, I think block actually is a part of one of the tasks. Block keyword. So we have to use a block keyword. And we say in the block keyword, run the entire block of code. Okay. So you want to run, you want to try this one also, this one also, this one also, this one. I have to try all the code. And any of the code, if any error come up, so I would have to give some extra alternative. Or maybe I just want to try only this part. So put this task only in the block keyword. Block keyword. So it depends, guys, which tasks you want to try. So I'm planning to try all the tasks. So what I'm doing here, so so in the task I use a block. Blocks will be indent with respect to this task, and all the tasks, guys, will be indent with respect to this guy. Okay, here. So I'm asking task to run, but I'm asking task, don't run task directly. Hand over this task to block. Block will run it. Good thing about block is they handle the exception. Because they handle the exception. So any exception come up, they give you alternative way, right? And how they give me alternative way? With the keyword called rescue. So guys, before I use the rescue, let me first run this code and let's see what happens. But think, guys, it is like a try keyword in any other language. Okay. So here, some error come up because normally when we use when we use a block, we have to always normally use the rescue. So I'm using rescue here also, and say block, just try this code. And one more small thing, because the block we have a flock 4 1 2 3 4 space. So we have 1 2 3 4 space. So you can write a rescue here. So rescue also, guys, I'm writing one task. Let's so testing. I'm using a debug task just for testing, and I'm giving the message message called for rescue. Okay, just for testing. So technically, if something fail here, so rather than terminate my program, I will tell my rescue, this is my rescue. I want at least run this rather than crash my program. Okay, it's something like this. So again, it is offending. There might be some, there might be some, what I say, might be some. Okay, sorry guys. This block we have to write with hyphen. Okay, hyphen. Like there's a list of tasks we can write. I think this is the actually error. This thing. Otherwise, I have to quickly. This was a challenge because task is list, right? And what you write in the task, we have to do here. Okay. And now, if you notice, guys, one thing: as soon as the error come up, okay, this time my program doesn't terminate. Last time, if you see here, guys, as soon as the error come up, in my last example, okay, before I use the ignore, directly my code failed. It's directly failed. Okay, after this get URL. But this time, guys, is without using ignore error also. As soon as that, as soon as this URL, has some error exception come up, that doesn't fail, and they say, I know you have got an exception here, but I know how to handle the exception. So I have one rescue or alternative for you. Okay, this called this one. Means I will, you can directly go to a rescue here. Or because as a developer, as by practice and by testing and testing, I can say, there might be chances we got this error here. So obviously there's no meaning to debug, right? Or print message here. I can do one thing here. I can say, I know if mostly there's chances to have exception here. So I'm giving you one more task here called get URL again. Okay. And in this get URL, I'm again, sorry, instead of get URL, I know because we don't have internet connectivity. Okay, so I can use a copy module here. Copy module. And copy module, I can manually copy a file from my source to the destination. Or I might have a local copy. Let me have guys copying from the content just for testing. Hi, hello. Okay. So maybe I have local file. I can use source keyword, and this local file is there in my control node. They will upload here. Okay. And this local file may be older file. So if the internet is not there, just carry and continue with the older file. That's okay. If by chance the net is not there, but if net is there, first priority would be this one. Okay. So now if you guys see here in my target node, I don't have vimal.jpg or txt or pdf as a file, whatever file you want to download from the internet. And this is one of the example, guys, right? There might be lots of other kind of exception also come up. Okay, my server is not running, this software is not available, this version is not available, something like this. If you see, guys, as soon this get the error and the block say I'll try this, it's not working, I would like to handle, I send to the rescue, and they will other alternative way we have, they will do the remaining that. And if you do see here, this file copied. So this is one of the example where you can use rescue. Okay. But if you want to use multiple time blocks and rescue, you can use. So one block for this one block for this one block for this one. Every block has their own rescue. So keep on using this. Reason we use hyphen here means list. We can use list of tasks of the blocks we can use. Okay. So that is one thing. And by chance, maybe there might possibility you guys might not be comfortable with this indent, but guys, don't worry, it will come with the backtick, right? Okay. So task is the main, and that task block is the one of the, you can think module. And according to block, they will always run the other modules. So all the other module will come with the respect to block with their indent. Okay. And one more guys concept I just want to explain you here is if you guys ever work on exception handling, so you guys might know one concept that if you are running some code or task, we always try this. If everything work good, that's nice. Otherwise, okay, otherwise we will catch the error exception and we'll give alternative. So catch is like an alternative. Try means run this code. But in both the case, if you have some requirement, what do you want? Try this code. If this code run fine, run it. Or if some error come up, then run this code. Okay. But in both the cases, I have some task that I always want to run. Either your code runs successful or either your code fail and you run this. In both the case, I would like to finally run some particular code always. Maybe the some particular code would be in both the cases you want to give your customer goodbye. In both the cases you want to mail something, or maybe in one of these both the code will actually logging somewhere, and because while login we have some kind of tokens or some kind of cookies. So in both the cases, I don't want, because of my termination, my code terminate, my entire code terminate, my logging session is keep on going. I want in both the cases, my code run or don't run, right, or catch run. I want my program will log out from there. So there's something that you always want in both the cases. So I want try this or catch this, but finally, I want this code to be always run in this process. So in the exception handling, finally is a keyword normally you will see in other programming language. But in the Ansible, concept is exactly the same. Instead of try, we have block keyword. Instead of the catch, we have a rescue keyword. Or instead of finally, we have a keyword called always. Otherwise, concept wise, they are exactly the same. Okay. So, so let me write here. So I can use after 4 space 1, 2, 3, 4 always. And why 4 space? Because finally is a keyword for this try or for this block. And catch and rescue is a keyword for this block. So if this block is having, if you see here, sorry, if you see here one, two, three, four space. So rescue will also have four space. So they will come in the same hierarchy and always also have four space here. Okay, we always and rescue is a part of, and you have to always run use with the one, two, three, four with the block. And because they are a part, or I can say they we use with the block. So that is the reason, guys, we use hyphen only with the block. With rescue and always we don't use hyphen. But if you use the hyphen, then according to Ansible or according to task, sorry, if you use the hyphen, then according to this task, they treat this block is a different keyword and this rescue is different keyword. It's not. Rescue is a part of the block. That is one of the reasons why we don't use hyphen here. Okay, so always let me just do one small task here called debug. And the debug just show testing message, let's say mail to this guy, or goodbye or something like this, or log out from here. Depend, guys, what actually you always want to run. So this fail or this won't fail, always will always run. Okay, so that's the, so guys, this is again one of the way to one of the good way I can say to handle the exception whenever any error come up. I don't want my program will crash. Okay, I have some proper plan and decision. They will manage my entire code. Okay, because having this red error may be good, or having this red error and actually my program crash or terminate, that is not good. Okay, so this is the one concept. This called block, rescue, and the always. So that's one thing. So your choice what exactly you want to use. Okay, now guys, this is one topic complete. Now there's multiple way you can write blog, and then ask you multiple time you can write that. It's all depend upon your final code, what kind of code you are running here. Okay, I would like to take one more small topic here. Okay, the topic is very important topic. I want to initiate today, but the completion of this topic, guys, I will I will do tomorrow. Okay, the topic is the topic is uh, you can use Ansible to do multiple things. You can configure database, you can connect to AWS, configure Docker. We have seen this example, a lot of example like this, right? But you can use Ansible for a small thing also. Okay, for example, I can use Ansible to mail, not just to print the message, actual mail. So I can use Ansible contact to Gmail, and through your Gmail account, they can mail to somebody, something like this. That normally we do with the other programming language like Python, other things. But you can use Ansible also to mail. Okay, and if you ask Ansible, can you do this? So again, just go to Ansible, sorry, Ansible document, say, do you have any module for mail? Okay. So a lot of name come up here, but they have a general module called mail. So community of the Ansible has kind of a general use case kind of module called mail. So technically mail is the name of the module. And if you're on the Ansible doc and say, can you tell something about the main module, mail module, what can we do? So pretty straightforward, useful sending the mail. That's what we are looking for. And you guys know very comfortable with the mail. You know, whenever you mail, you attach the document, you tell where to want to send the mail, to, from, body, subject, CC, BCC. So you see here, we can attach the file message, BCC, what is the content of the body, CC, and other things also, from, header, right? Other things also we have here. Subject also. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Mail is a module. Okay, so if you guys want to use this module, very simple, right? Very simple. But while using this kind of module, some kind of challenge in the terms of security you will face. So what is challenge, right? Let me take one demonstration today. Yeah, let me give you one demonstration. And guys, very important topic. This example will help you to understand one concept of one of the great concept in the Ansible in the terms of security. Very interesting concept, very complex, but by this example, I'll make this concept very simple. And the name of the concept is called Vault, 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 right? So by this example, I will take you guys to the security of the Ansible called Vault. How? But before this, let me explain you how to mail. But before guys, I'll take this topic. I just want to talk a little bit very basic about mail because some of the guys might not have this idea. Okay. A very simple question, guys. I would like to ask you. Everybody know what is gmail.com? No means what is gmail.com? You guys know. But very simple question, guys. I just want to ask you, what do you think gmail.com or wgmail.com is a web server or website or web app, or it is a mail server, or is a mail server? So what is gmail.com? Is a website or web app or any kind of web pages somebody has created, or it is a mail server. Okay. So normally sometime for some new technical guys, everybody feel that Gmail is a mail server, but it is not. Gmail.com is a pure website, web app. Okay, just a pure web application. Okay, so you know how it works and why it's important to know. There's a reason for this. Why I'm explaining this point here. You know how it works. So let's say this is gmail.com or www.gmail.com, and we are here in our laptop. So when you connect guys to the gmail.com, if you notice always guys, when you connect to gmail.com, they will open one page in your browser. And guys, whenever you open anything in the browser, and if you guys try to copy that URL, you will see that URL is open via HTTP or HTTPS. So anything that open with HTTP, HTTPS are normally a web application. So somebody has created some language like web pages, like Facebook has created a web application. Somebody has created Gmail as an application, as a web page. And by chance they give you facility and they see if you want to create a new mail, it's called compose. I will open one page. And guys, if you try to understand the code of that page and you try to open this code, there's a pure HTML or JavaScript code. And here they ask you where you want to send the mail, subject and body, and send. And when you send this entire data will go to this program, this is called web app. And good thing about this web app is, right, on your behalf, they collect all the information, means to subject and body part. And interesting thing is they also collect one more thing. They also collect from also. Guys, we never provide from, right? But they collect. How they collect? Because they know, because Gmail know from which account you have logged in. Because without login, they won't allow. So they also collect the information that you log in from vimal.com. Oh, sorry, vimal@gmail.com. So they collect your email ID, and from email ID, they send the mail to with the subject and body part. Okay. But this application, guys, only collect the information from our laptop, whatever we feel, whatever we feel here. Okay. But this program, guys, doesn't know how to mail. So if you want to mail something, so Google has their own mail server. Google has their own mail server running somewhere in other, for example, this IP, let's say 1.2.3, for example, this IP may be 4.2.1.6, for example, in other mail server. And on your behalf, on our behalf, this Gmail application may be written in PHP or maybe written in Go language. Sorry, guys, maybe written in some language. 1 minute. Maybe written in some language. And for my behalf, behind this in the content mail server and say, mail server, I am the website of your own company. Can you please mail this to from this guy with the subject body? And mail server guys will send the mail to that particular to. So in this case, guys, there's two server. Okay, mail server is also one kind of server and service, and the client of mail server is Google Gmail server. But Gmail is also server, But Gmail is just a web application server or web server, and client is the one. So we are the client of Gmail web server or web application, and Gmail application is behind this in the client for mail server, and mail server is the guys one who sent them. So why I'm discussing this, because if you want to mail using the Gmail mail server, there's two way. There's two way to use Gmail mail server. I say not Gmail. I can say Google mail server. There's two way to use Google mail server. One way is using web UI, and how we use the way we always use. So you can open the Gmail page that will give you a website, and from this website you can internally connect to mail server and send the mail. This is one of the way that all everybody use. Other way to use the mail server is from my laptop. I can bypass Gmail, or I can directly connect to the Google mail server. Directly connect. Okay, and ask that can you please help me to mail. Again, I can give all this four information directly to subject, body, from. Okay, that's a direct way. And normally we use direct way for multiple purpose. One of the purpose we use the direct way in the term of automation or in the code. So if, for example, if you're a developer and maybe Python or Java or maybe here Ansible, YML, and if you want to use Google Mail server, why? Because you have a Google Mail account, and you want from your Google Mail account you want to send a mail to somebody. So if you are a developer, your code using the code, technically it is not logical possible. Maybe there might be some API, but it's not logical possible to use Gmail, and there's no meaning also. We can directly write a code that will call directly contact to this Google Mail server, mail server, and ask them to do all the four things. But always, guys, because the Google Mail server is secure, so they will ask you that you as a laptop, you are claiming that you are Vimal at gmail.com or vimal.linuxworld at gmail.com. How can I know? So guys, if somebody asking you how I know you are Vimal, so it means they're asking your authentication, and normally for authentication they will ask your password. Ask your password. Okay, so so obviously you have to pass the password also here, and normally with the password we also write the login name also. So to pass the username and the password. By chance in the Google Mail server, your login name is equals to from. Not always, there might be possibility in some mail server. Your login name, username is different. And if from means from which ID your mails goes is different. There might be possibility. But by chance in the Google, the login name is equals to from, means your email ID by chance. But it might not be case in some mail server. So guys, this is the actual very clear infrastructure of the Google mail server and Gmail. And that is a reason, guys, if you try to search in the Google and ask, can you tell me Google mail server detail? And by chance, you guys might know, okay, when you connect to the gmail.com is a website. So we normally use HTTP or HTTPS. But anybody who want to connect to mail server, either via Gmail or directly, so mail server guys work with a protocol called SMTP or SMTPS maybe. Okay, so if you search for Google Mail Server SMTP address or details or something like this, okay, here guys you can get the details. Okay, and they are talking about they're talking about maybe somewhere you can see this complete detail. Okay, but if you see somewhere, so they are talking about that Google mail server is running on port number this one or this one, or somewhere also here. I'm not getting the proper link, so you can search here Google mail server details. Somewhere in the link you will get the IP address also. Yeah, this is the one. smtp.gmail.com. Okay, or smtp.gmail.com. So the mail server of Google, for example, Gmail URL is your www.gmail.com, but the URL or the host name of the mail server of Gmail is mail, sorry, smtp.gmail.com. Hey guys, by chance, website normally work on HTTP, HTTPS. So if your website working on HTTP, they have port number 80. If they're working on HTTPS, normally they have 443 port. But SMTP mail server of Gmail has working on port number 587 or 465. So these are details they have. How we know, they have shared with us, and they say if you have your login and password, you can provide and directly connect with Android, with a Python, with a maybe Linux command, or maybe Ansible. But here we are talking about Ansible. So why, guys, we need to know so much information? Because if you want to write an Ansible code, we need a module name. Because this code, guys, I'm writing in my laptop, in my laptop over here. And because you're writing the code to send the mail, and here we are using the mail server is not configured by us, even though we can also configure our own mail server. But here we are not going to use our own mail server. We are going to use a mail server of Google. But Gmail is never the mail server, so there is no meaning to use Gmail. So we should know the mail server of the Google. Okay, so that's the reason, guys, we have to find this information. By chance, this example is very common, very common. So if you go to Ansible doc mail, and if you guys go down, this is the exact example they have configured for us. So if you see here, okay, so this is the example they have. They say if you want to sending a mail using Gmail SMTP server, means mail server, you can use mail module. Okay, and yes, the server name who will send the mail, this one, they work on port number by chance 587, this username, this password, to body subject, that's all. So this is the guys exact code they have built for us. Okay, while delegate to localhost, we will discuss, but till here let me copy. Okay, and let me create a m.yml file, and let me paste this code. Now, beautiful thing guys here is, if I ask you in the Ansible playbook, we have to always write host. Who is my host here? Okay, guys, think, guys. So IP 155 my host, or maybe I have one more target node 172. Okay, but if you remember, guys, when I explain you the AWS classes, they explain you whenever you are running the playbook from the controller node, you always have to give the target node name. But if you give the target node name, then you have to log into this target node using SSH. Why? Because this is Linux. Okay, so same thing here, guys. Mostly in Google systems, servers and the mail server are also running with the Linux operating system. So let's say this is a Google mail server. They also running Linux, so you can use SSH. But challenge is maybe they are using Linux, but they might be SSH disabled. But we don't know the login and password of Linux operating system. I'm not talking email. We don't know the login and password because from the email ID you can't log into the OS. So you want to configure something, you have to first log into the command line. For this, you require login and password of the command line. It is also known as cell user, like user account called root, for example. You don't know about anything about login and password of the Gmail mail servers. So in this case, I told you guys, if you don't know about the target login and password, and maybe they don't have SS support enabled, technically they haven't enabled because we don't require there to log in. Okay, so then you run your playbook in your own local host computer. So same custom I already explained in my AWS class. So this is the one of the great one of more example where we have to run a playbook in our local host computer. Either you can use the name or you can use the local host type. Sorry, guys. And the task is this one. This one. Task is mail server. And by chance, normally we give the task name like this. Task is meal. Okay, and obviously these are the attributes. That's all. Now, interesting thing here, that we have to, if you guys run this code, your code will run. Okay, you guys know the meaning of name keyword also. Your code will run. But challenge is, guys, this code from my laptop, from my controller node, they run this code in the local host, and from the local host internally, my control node will contact to the mail server of the Google. Why they contact to mail server Google? Because we have provided the URL, or I can say the IP address or the host name of the mail server and the port number also. But whenever we reach this mail server, they say, I'm secure. You have to provide your login and password or whatever account you have created in my mail server. And guys, we already created an account using the Gmail account. Same account will work here. So you have to provide your login and password here. Okay. And by chance in the Google, your username of your mail server is also work like a from. So it is also like a from. So from this ID, we send the mail to this guy, to this subject, and to this body. Okay. Now, challenge here is, right? For example, my username or my actual email ID, this is the real email ID of mine in my Google is vimal.linuxworld@gmail.com. Okay, this is my actual email ID. And I want to send a mail to one of my HR account in my company over here. And my subject is Ansible training. And body is what I want to guys write as a content. Hi, test. Perfect code, no challenge. But guys, I think you might see the challenge here. Challenge in my password. This is not actually my password. Okay. So let me run this code. So what you see, your code will run. There might be no error come up, but this code will fail finally. Okay. Code will fail finally. And the error is but obvious. You give your username and password. We use your username and password, but this server say failed. The server we have connected, fail was authentication. Your login name, maybe your password is wrong. I mean, this is not my password. So if I use my password, and guys, obviously I can't use my password. That's the biggest issue. I can't use my password because you are watching me over here typing, and this is my main account, right? I can't share the password to you. Okay. But yeah, if I can stop the screen sharing and type the password. Then I type the password and I close the file and show the code. But it is not about hiding the password. It is about, normally when we write the code, we write the code in a team in the corporate world. Okay, so I am typing some code here, putting in the code, we have to connect to some Gmail or some other databases or some XYZ server. And they say, I won't work without the password. You have to provide my database password, my email server password, then I work. Okay, so maybe you have a team of 5 guys and one guy by chance know the password and they type the password and testing working good. Okay, and thing is working good, but this code you have to share with your team. By chance and somehow you share the password, right? Other guys can get your password. Okay, so guys, I don't want to elaborate my discussion here, but my final point is here, we have to type the password here. I guys, this understand this text file. I can't use asterisk here. Asterisk won't work in the text file. Okay, so we have to type my password. My password should exist here, but apart from me, nobody can able to use and see my password. That's what I want. I can share my code with other team. I can upload my code to GitHub. Anybody can download my entire code, use my code. Okay, but they won't able to use my password and can see my password. Okay, That is one of my requirement. And why we have this requirement, I'll tell 2 or 3 use case, not today, tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay. And then and that will lead us to a very interesting topic called Vault. That's called Ansible Vault. Very interesting topic for security. Okay, so I'm not want to start this topic. So tomorrow, maybe half day or my full day, we have to invest on this topic. But before this, before this, I suggest, okay, just please type your password here with your email ID. At least test this code so that you guys comfortable that this code is working. Obviously, don't share your code with us, obviously, but always they will get your password. Okay, so tomorrow, guys, I'll take the same example and interesting part to be here, to be taken care. We'll see tomorrow. Okay. So there's a one small prerequisite for tomorrow class. I will already explain to you. That's guys for that's for all for today. Any queries? Any queries? If you have, you can ask me. So what is different interrupt and exception? Huge difference actually. Somebody asked me, I don't see the name here. There's a huge difference. I think exception you understood. Interrupt, maybe I'll try to, if you guys, but the Python is a part of my, they have a lot of detailed discussion of a lot of interruptions we are going to discuss. Very simplest example of interruption is, a very simplest example is Control C, right? So in the command line, your code is running and your program is executing with the help of CPU, and suddenly you want CPU, please stop. I don't want you run my further statement in this program. So we are interrupting uh, from the CPU and say, don't run further thing. So this is one of the interruption we are passing to the CPU with the help of Control C as a shortcut in the Linux. One of the simplest example to understand. Exception I already explained to you. Yes, Anisha, you can also store as a database. But understand one thing, um, database we use for data store. Okay. So any language, they want to store data permanently in some kind of format. Okay. Some kind of format for multiple use case, maybe RDBMS or SQL or NoSQL or something like this. So they use some backend database like MongoDB or Redis or MySQL or something like this, right? So there's a different thing. I definitely try to take one topic discussion on writing the code in the Python for playbook for MySQL or something like this. Okay, but uh, I think this, I don't know exactly you are asking for, but yeah, I'll try to take one example on this, how to use database. Yes, Vedant, this is a good example. If some error come in installing the package from the Yum and Yum has a URL of the internet, then you can ask Yum to use local Yum. This might be one of the example, Vedant. This is a good thing to use. So, Kosa, in this case, again, you can use what you asked me. If some of the tasks fail, you want to print the message and stop your playbook. Same thing here. Run all the tasks in one block, but in the rescue, just use debug message to print. Okay. I think why happened you don't not use before rescue. I already explained you. I use how exception handling case is in case of module name error or other numeric keyword. Then any other use case practice to Ansible. So with exactly, I'm not able to understood, but yeah, you can integrate Ansible with the Python. I think somewhere I told you. Otherwise, I will again explain in my Earth class. I think, and then you can use both the exception handling If Python is calling Ansible will use their exception handling, but in Python code has some exception. Python has their own exception handling to manage their code. So how to write two-time exception? You can write Raj two-time block keyword. So per task also you can write block rescue. That's also work. Yes, Piyush, can we encryption a password? Something like this. Tomorrow we are going to discuss, right? How we can encrypt the password. Something like this we are going to discuss. Okay. So can you show answer web UI? Actually, Pankaj, normally web for the web UI um, is a normally is a different product from the Red Hat. It's called Ansible Tower. By chance, it is not a part of program. So I told you in my initial classes also might not possible. Let's see, but otherwise, definitely try if can possible. So ask me Cisco QFP. I think this is the one chip actually from the Cisco, right? So some kind of processor chip from the Cisco. How to upload your code to GitHub? Uh, Anybody who know GitHub is pretty simple. Just go and create an account and create a folder, project, repo, and upload the code. By chance, who are actually the part of Earth, there's a detailed class of GitHub. So don't worry, guys. Soon we'll discuss. And then there's is there any challenge to run an Ansible code on cloud and manage node is also operate on the cloud? Yes, then why not? We can do it, right? Very simple. Just launch two systems, and like in AWS cloud, make one as a control node, one as a target node, and it's pretty simple actually to use there. It's pretty simple, right? Everything because they have their own network connectivity, so we don't have to focus more on networking also. Please take care. Please try to take the class on mail server. So Karthik, I'll definitely take the class in my Earth for mail server. Definitely. So how to use Git? That will I'll tell you guys. Okay. If you want to use GitHub and could get the code from download from the GitHub using Ansible, that is one of the example in my upcoming class we'll discuss. How to get the IP of other host group? How to get the IP? I told you there once already, right? You can use all keyword in Ansible, or I show you. They have pre-defined variable called groups. You can print it. They will show you all the group name with the IP. सो क्या MySQL का यूज करके हायरार्की फॉर्मेट में डेटा स्टोर किया जा सकता है? प्लीज डोंट Anisha, actually I don't recommend. Okay, because if you want to store the data into hierarchy format, there's a different data, it's called data model. Okay, and MySQL is not meant for hierarchy format data model. If you are asking me क्या MySQL को यूज करके इस स्टोर में डेटा स्टोर कर सकते हैं, किया जा सकता है, आंसर yes, we can do somehow, but it is not at all scalable or manageable. If you start storing, creating a lot of hierarchy and a lot of data. So if you want to store, you can store it. We can create a proper format for this. But MySQL is not meant for this. It is pure database for, I can say, structured kind of data. if you have equal rows and columns and fields, RDBMS is kind of right. So that is the use case of MySQL or PostgreSQL or SQLite in this kind of databases. But if you want to go for different data model, okay, maybe key value or document or hierarchy or graph, then we have a lot of different data models, NoSQL data models we have. Okay, so you answer yes, you can do, but nobody do this and not recommended. Can we launch more than one instance using playbook? Yes, why not, Soma? You can, you can, right? Two times rather task. So first task launching one, second task launching two, or there's a concept called for loop in the Ansible. Pretty simple to use. There's a full loop keyword. I will show you maybe tomorrow class or day after tomorrow. So you can put the loop in the loop, run the loop multiple times. When we start in the Splunk, Balwinder, a lot of queries I have having the Splunk because of the timing issue. There's a big challenge, but Splunk is again very much highly recommended tool for today's market. But let's see how and when we can start. Rahul sent me yesterday. Google went down because incorrect configuration generated by the internal system. Okay, if they have an automation tool, why we have this error? Actually, from outside perspective, Rahul, nobody can say why Google or YouTube goes down. Okay, technically, because the config mistake, they never. There's a lot of more technical reasons, right? More technical reasons why they goes down. Like, because they have a lot of version controls, and if something goes wrong, they roll back within a millisecond. Okay, so because of the maybe in the browser some error might come look like Intel server error, but it doesn't means because of incorrect configuration error in the Google. Okay, that will never the case in this kind of big servers, right? Google is a big one. If you talk about core level company also, they will never. Okay, why they went down? There might be other lots of other reason also, but configuration would be never. Yes, sir, Vishal, you can use ML stock market to predict the future trend. You can use. No, Akash, if you're two-factor authentication, then if you write a mail code to send the mail, it won't work. It won't work because normally it's also depend upon language to language. If you are in a playbook, the language you're using, if they have a support to go for second level authentication like OTP, then it will work. But it all depend on your language and the mode. For example, here mail module Ansible doesn't have support of two-factor or multi-factor authentication, but there might be some language they have a library available to have a multi-factor authentication. But if you talk about this Ansible, they don't have in the mail module. So, can we send WhatsApp message using Ansible? Vijaya, definitely yes. Can you do SMS? Answer yes. So, guys, if you want to take this task, take this task. I won't try an Ansible code. Using the Ansible code, send the WhatsApp messages. A second task is using the Ansible code, send SMS, text SMS. I'm talking about in your mobile number. So, take to this two more tasks, and you guys know the approach how we can deal with this task. Okay, so that's all, guys, for today. See you tomorrow with a very interesting topic of security. Bye, take care.